You slept with Emma? My Emma. Nathan's voice cracked, the words barely squeezing past the knot in his throat. The hotel suite fell silent, glasses frozen midair. 6 pairs of eyes darted between Nathan and Jake, who swirled his whiskey with an infuriating smirk that didn't quite mask the flash of panic in his eyes. The bachelor party, Nathan's last celebration of freedom before marrying the woman he adored, imploded in that single moment. Jake, his best friend since childhood, his chosen best man, had just casually mentioned sleeping with Nathan's fiancée back in the day, as if discussing the weather. Nathan's hands trembled as rage and betrayal coursed through him. How could you? Jake's cavalier shrug was the match that lit the explosion. 12 hours earlier, Nathan had woken with the pleasant buzz of anticipation. In just 2 days, he would marry Emma Reynolds, the woman who had transformed his life from the moment they'd met 3 years ago at his cousin's art gallery opening. Emma, with her constellation of freckles and laugh that made strangers turn and smile. Emma, who knew exactly how he liked his coffee and who could debate obscure sci-fi theories until sunrise. Emma, who had said yes when he'd fumbled through his proposal at the botanical gardens last spring. The morning sun filtered through the blinds of Nathan's apartment as he packed an overnight bag for the bachelor party. Jake had insisted on handling all the arrangements. It's literally my only job as best man besides not losing the rings, dude, and had been suspiciously tight-lipped about the details. All Nathan knew was that they were spending the day and night at a luxury hotel downtown, and that Jake had promised it would be legendary without crossing into hangover territory. Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Have fun today? Not too much fun, though. I kind of need you functional for this whole marriage thing. Love you, X. He smiled, typing back. I'll try to come back in one piece. No guarantees with Jake in charge. Love you more. Jake had been a constant in Nathan's life since they were 12, bonding over skateboarding injuries and a shared obsession with the same video games. They'd weathered high school together, roomed in college, and even though their lives had taken different paths afterward, Nathan into architectural design, Jake bouncing between startups with bursts of success followed by spectacular failures, their friendship had remained solid. Or so Nathan had thought. The doorbell rang at precisely 11, and there stood Jake, designer sunglasses pushed up into his perfectly tousled hair, wearing a shirt that probably cost more than Nathan's entire outfit. The man of the hour, Jake announced, pulling Nathan into a backslapping hug. Ready for your last day of freedom? Nathan rolled his eyes. You know I hate when people call it that. Right. Your last day before embarking on life's greatest adventure with your soulmate. Jake corrected with air quotes, but his smile seemed genuine. The guys are waiting downstairs. Chariot awaits, your soon-to-be marriedness. The Chariot turned out to be a sleek black SUV where Tyler and Marcus were already waiting, along with 2 other friends from college. The car hummed with excitement as they headed toward downtown, Jake passing around premium cigars, to be enjoyed responsibly later, and sharing increasingly embarrassing stories about Nathan's bachelor days. By noon, they had checked into a sprawling suite at the Monarch, the kind of place with cashmere throws and a fully stocked bar that Nathan would never have splurged on himself. Jake had arranged a private lunch with a master bourbon distiller who guided them through an educational tasting that somehow turned into increasingly competitive toasts to Nathan's future. To Nathan, Tyler raised his glass, who somehow convinced a woman way out of his league to legally bind herself to him forever. To Nathan, Marcus followed, who's about to discover that marriage is just constantly apologizing for things you didn't even know you did wrong. When Jake's turn came, he stood, swaying slightly. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes as he lifted his glass. To my oldest friend, Nathan, who's always been the responsible one, the steady one, the one who actually has his shit together. There was something in Jake's tone, a note of resentment, that made Nathan uncomfortable, but it disappeared so quickly he thought he might have imagined it. Emma's lucky to have you, man. Here's to you both. The afternoon progressed with an upscale poker tournament arranged by Jake. No actual money, gentlemen. I'm not explaining to Emma why her fiancé lost their honeymoon fund, followed by a private cooking class where a celebrity chef taught them to make Emma's favorite meal. It was surprisingly thoughtful, and Nathan found himself repeatedly impressed by Jake's attention to detail. Dude, you've really outdone yourself, Nathan said, clapping Jake on the shoulder as they headed back to the suite to change for dinner. Seriously, this is perfect. Jake's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. Nothing but the best for you, Nate. Always. Dinner was at an exclusive restaurant requiring connections that only Jake seemed to possess. The food was exquisite, the wine flowed freely, and Nathan felt a warm glow of contentment as he looked around at his closest friends. This was exactly the kind of bachelor celebration he'd wanted. Meaningful, fun, not some cliched debauchery. It was after dinner, when they returned to the suite for cigars and nightcaps, that the atmosphere subtly shifted. Jake, who'd been matching everyone drink for drink, began pouring more generous portions for himself. His laughter grew louder, his stories more pointed. Nathan noticed Marcus giving Jake concerned glances, but the evening's momentum carried them forward. "Let's play Never Have I Ever," Jake announced suddenly, interrupting Tyler's story about his disastrous honeymoon flight delay. "What are we, 16? Marcus scoffed. "Come on," Jake insisted. "It'll be fun. For old time's sake." There was something challenging in his gaze as he stared at Nathan. Nathan shrugged, not wanting to dampen the mood. Sure, why not? The game started innocuously enough with the usual suspects, skinny dipping, being arrested, embarrassing injuries. But with each round, Jake's questions grew more targeted, more personal, particularly toward Nathan. "Never have I ever," Jake drawled after several rounds, "hidden something significant from my future spouse." The room tensed. Nathan kept his finger down, meeting Jake's gaze steadily. "Nothing to hide," he said simply. Jake's smile was razor-sharp. "Noble. Admirable, even." He knocked back his whiskey. "Your turn, Nate." Nathan hesitated, increasingly uncomfortable with Jake's evident intoxication and the strange undercurrent in his behavior. "Never have I ever felt jealous of a friend's happiness," he said finally, watching Jake carefully. Jake's finger went up, along with everyone else's. He laughed, but it sounded hollow. "Touché, architect boy." Direct hit. The game continued, the mood growing heavier with each round. Jake's questions became increasingly pointed about relationships, loyalty, and secrets, until finally, Marcus intervened. "I think we're done with this game," he said firmly. "How about some poker?" No, Jake insisted, pouring himself another drink despite Tyler's attempt to subtly move the bottle away. "One more round." The grand finale. He leaned forward, eyes locked on Nathan. "Never have I ever slept with a friend's significant other." Dead silence fell across the room. Nathan felt a chill run through him as Jake slowly, deliberately, raised his own finger. "Jake," Tyler warned, "you're drunk, man. Let's call it a night." But Jake's gaze never left Nathan's face. "Funny story, actually. Did you know Emma and I had a thing back in the day?" The words hung in the air like smoke. Nathan stared, certain he'd misheard. "What are you talking about?" And that's when Jake said it, the casual, devastating revelation that shattered everything. "You slept with Emma?" "My Emma?" Nathan had asked, voice breaking. Now, as the suite froze in horrified silence, Jake had the audacity to shrug. "It was before you met her. College, spring break in Cancun. Her sophomore year, I think. We ran into each other at that club. What was it called? Anyway, it was just a weekend thing. No big deal. No big deal." Nathan's voice was dangerously quiet. "You've been my best man for 6 months. Planning this wedding with us. Having dinner at our home. Looking her in the eye. Looking me in the eye. And you never thought to mention this." Jake waved dismissively. "Ancient history, man. Didn't seem relevant." Didn't seem. Nathan couldn't even finish the sentence. His mind raced through every interaction between Jake and Emma he'd ever witnessed, searching for signs, for knowing glances, for anything that might have hinted at this bombshell. "Does Emma know you're my best friend? That we've been friends since we were kids?" Something flickered across Jake's face. Hesitation, perhaps even guilt. "She recognized me at your housewarming, but we both agreed it wasn't worth mentioning. It was just a fling." Nathan stood abruptly, the chair screeching against the floor. "You both agreed? So you've been talking about this? Behind my back?" "No. I mean, we just had a quick private conversation that night. Agreed it was in the past. No need to complicate things." Jake attempted a conciliatory smile that came off as a smirk. "Come on, Nate. Don't make this weird. It's not like she was your girlfriend then." The room seemed to tilt around Nathan. His friends' faces blurred as rage and betrayal battled for supremacy. "My fiancée and my best man have a secret past that they actively decided to hide from me, and I'm the one making it weird?" Marcus stood up, placing a steadying hand on Nathan's shoulder. Jake, what the hell, man? Why would you drop this now, 2 days before the wedding? Jake's facade of casual indifference cracked slightly. He deserved to know before making it official. That's all. There was something underneath those words, something bitter and sharp. Nathan shook his head, stepping away from the table. I need some air. Nate, wait. Jake started, but Tyler cut him off. You've done enough, Jake. Shut up. Nathan barely heard them as he stumbled out onto the suite's balcony, gulping the cool night air. His phone felt like a lead weight in his pocket. Should he call Emma? What would he even say? Hey, just found out you slept with my best friend and decided I didn't need to know about it? Behind him, he could hear the muffled sounds of argument, Jake's voice rising defensively against the other's angry questions. Nathan gripped the railing, knuckles white, as he tried to process this betrayal from not just one person, but two of the people he trusted most. The sliding door opened, and Marcus stepped out. Hey, he said quietly. You okay? Nathan laughed bitterly. Fantastic. Bachelor party of my dreams. Marcus leaned against the railing beside him. Jake's being an asshole. Tyler's trying to sober him up. Why now? Nathan asked, more to himself than to Marcus. Why wait until 2 days before my wedding to drop this bomb? Marcus hesitated. I don't want to make this worse. Just say it. Jake's business is failing. Again. He invested everything in this tech venture that's tanking. And I've noticed the way he looks at Emma sometimes. I didn't think much of it because, well, Emma's beautiful, and guys look. But now, Marcus trailed off. The implication hit Nathan like a physical blow. You think he still has feelings for her? That this is some kind of sabotage? Marcus shrugged uncomfortably. I don't know, man. But the timing is suspect. And he's been making these little comments about your relationship for months now. How fast you two moved. How you don't really know everything about each other. Nathan thought back to all the times Jake had made seemingly innocent remarks about how Nathan and Emma were rushing things, about how marriage was a trap, about how people never really knew each other. He dismissed it as typical Jake cynicism. Now every comment took on a sinister new light. Before Nathan could respond, the door slid open again, and Jake stumbled out, Tyler right behind him looking apologetic. Sorry, Tyler murmured. He insisted. Jake's eyes were red-rimmed, his earlier smugness replaced by sloppy contrition. Nathan, my buddy, my pal, you gotta understand. Understand what, exactly? Nathan's voice was ice. It wasn't just a random hookup. Emma and me. Jake swallowed hard. We had something real. For a while. Not just that weekend. The world seemed to stop spinning. What? We dated for almost 3 months. Long distance. It fizzled out. But when she saw me at your housewarming, Jake's expression darkened. She acted like I was nothing. Like we were nothing. Just told me not to mention it to you because it wasn't important. Not important. He spat the words. Nathan felt sick. 3 months. Not a drunken weekend fling, but an actual relationship. Hidden from him deliberately. Get out. You don't understand. Jake persisted, moving closer. She was the one who ended things. Said I wasn't reliable enough. Not stable enough. And then she finds you. Mr. Perfect Career, Mr. Homeowner, Mr. Stability. And suddenly she's ready to settle down. His laugh was ugly. She's using you, man. For the life I couldn't give her. The accusation hung in the air like poison. Nathan's fist connected with Jake's jaw before he even realized he'd moved. Jake stumbled backward, more surprised than hurt, as Tyler and Marcus leapt forward to separate them. You're done, Nathan said, voice shaking with fury as Marcus held him back. Get out of my sight. Jake touched his jaw, a strange smile spreading across his face. Hit a nerve, did I? Deep down, you know I'm right. Why else would she hide it? Nathan lunged again, but Marcus's grip was firm. Jake, get the hell out before this gets worse, Marcus ordered. Fine. Jake slurred, straightening his designer shirt with exaggerated dignity. I've said my piece. Just trying to save you from making the biggest mistake of your life. But whatever. He pointed an unsteady finger at Nathan. When she leaves you for someone better, don't say I didn't warn you. Tyler practically dragged Jake back inside, leaving Nathan trembling with rage and confusion on the balcony. He's drunk and bitter, Marcus said quietly. Don't let him get in your head. But the damage was done. The seed of doubt had been planted, and Nathan couldn't help but water it with every remembered interaction between Emma and Jake. now re-examined through this new, terrible lens. I need to talk to Emma, Nathan said finally. Marcus nodded. Want me to clear everyone out? Please. Within 15 minutes, the suite had emptied. Tyler had escorted a still protesting Jake to a different room downstairs, paid for with Nathan's credit card information that Jake somehow had. The others had departed with awkward condolences and promises to check in tomorrow. Nathan sat alone on the edge of the king-sized bed, staring at Emma's contact photo on his phone. 3 rings, and then her voice, bright and slightly sleepy. Hey you, how's the Bachelor extravaganza? The normalcy of her tone made his chest ache. Emma, we need to talk. Immediately, her voice changed. What's wrong? Are you okay? Did you date Jake? The question came out more abruptly than he'd intended. The silence that followed told him everything he needed to know. Nathan, Emma began, her voice small. I can explain. So it's true. His free hand clenched into a fist. 3 months, Emma? And you never thought to mention that my best friend, my best man, was your ex? It wasn't. I didn't. She took a deep breath. When I met him at your housewarming, it was the first time I'd seen him since college. I didn't know he was your friend. I was shocked. And instead of telling me, you and Jake had a private conversation and decided I didn't need to know? The hurt in his voice was palpable. It was so long ago, Nathan. 5 years before I met you. It didn't seem relevant, and I was afraid it would make things weird between you two. Well, mission accomplished on the weird front, Nathan said bitterly. Jake just announced it to everyone at my bachelor party. Apparently, he thinks you're only with me because I'm more stable than he is. What? Emma's shock sounded genuine. That's ridiculous. Nathan, you can't possibly believe. I don't know what to believe anymore, he cut her off. Why wouldn't you tell me? We're getting married in 2 days, Emma. How many other exes am I going to discover in our wedding party? Her voice hardened slightly. That's not fair. I didn't hide this to hurt you. It was a brief relationship with someone I never expected to see again. When he turned out to be your friend, I made a judgment call. Maybe it was the wrong one, but my intentions weren't malicious. Jake says you dumped him because he wasn't reliable enough. Emma made a sound of disbelief. Is that what he told you? Nathan, Jake cheated on me. Repeatedly. With multiple women. That's why I ended things. The revelation landed like a slap. What? He was charming and fun and completely unfaithful. I ended it after discovering he'd slept with my roommate while I was visiting him. Emma's voice cracked. It was humiliating. Not exactly something I enjoy reminiscing about. Nathan felt dizzy with conflicting emotions. Relief that Emma hadn't left Jake for the reasons he'd implied was warring with fresh anger at Jake's manipulative half-truths and renewed hurt that Emma had kept this from him. I should have told you, Emma continued softly. I know that now. But Jake and I agreed that night that the past was past, and he seemed fine with it. Normal. I thought we were on the same page about keeping ancient history in the past. Clearly, he wasn't on that page, Nathan said, remembering the bitterness in Jake's eyes. He's been planning this ambush for months. There was a pause, then Emma asked, What do you want to do, Nathan? The question hung between them, heavy with implication. About the wedding. About them. About trust broken and whether it could be repaired. I need some time to think, he said finally. This is a lot to process. I understand, Emma whispered, though he could hear the fear in her voice. I love you, Nathan. That's the truest thing I know. Whatever happened before we met, none of that changes how I feel about you. After they hung up, Nathan lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling as his mind raced. The betrayal stung, not just Jake's but Emma's decision to hide their history. Yet he couldn't deny that learning your fiancé once dated your best friend would be an awkward revelation at best. Had he been in Emma's position, would he have handled it differently? The knock on his door came just after midnight. Nathan opened it to find Tyler, looking apologetic. Jake's passed out downstairs, Tyler reported. But I thought you should see this before making any decisions. He held out his phone, open to a text conversation with Jake from 3 weeks earlier. Nathan's eyes widened as he read the exchange. Jake complaining about Nathan's wedding, about Emma's holier-than-thou attitude, about how she thinks she's too good for me now. Tyler pushing back, telling Jake to get over his weird obsession with Nathan's fiancée. Jake's ominous response. We'll see how smug she is when the truth comes out. Bet Nate won't be so quick to marry her then. He's been planning this, Nathan said, the final piece clicking into place. This wasn't a drunken confession. This was sabotage. Pretty much, Tyler agreed grimly. I should have shown you sooner, but I thought he was just talking trash. I didn't think he'd actually try to blow up your wedding. Nathan handed the phone back, a cold clarity replacing his earlier confusion. I need you to do me a favor. Morning found Nathan sitting in the hotel lobby, waiting. He'd barely slept, but the fog of shock and betrayal had lifted, replaced by a steady resolve. When Jake finally emerged from the elevator, looking disheveled and hungover, Nathan was ready. Nate, Jake said, surprise evident as he spotted Nathan. Didn't expect to see you here. Sit down, Jake. Nathan's tone left no room for argument. Jake slumped into the chair opposite him, wincing as the movement aggravated his headache. Look, about last night. I know everything, Nathan interrupted. I talked to Emma, and Tyler showed me your texts. Jake's face drained of color. Tyler had no right. You were never going to tell me you cheated on her, were you? That part conveniently didn't make it into your dramatic revelation. Jake's mouth opened and closed, but no defense emerged. Here's what's going to happen, Nathan continued, his voice level but ice cold. You're out as best man. You're uninvited from the wedding. And after today, I don't want to hear from you again. Nate, come on. We've been friends for 20 years. You're throwing that away over this. No, Jake. You threw it away. When you decided to try to sabotage my marriage because of your wounded ego and whatever twisted feelings you still have for Emma. Jake's expression hardened. She's not who you think she is. She's exactly who I think she is. The woman who was honest with me when confronted, unlike my so-called best friend. Nathan stood up. I trusted you with the most important day of my life, and you tried to destroy it because you couldn't stand to see me happy with someone who rejected you. That's not. We're done, Jake. Nathan placed an envelope on the table. Your share of the bachelor party expenses. Don't contact me or Emma again. As Nathan walked away, Jake called after him. You're making a mistake. Nathan kept walking, not bothering to look back. 2 days later, Nathan stood at the altar, Marcus beside him as his newly appointed best man. The setback had only strengthened his and Emma's relationship. A night of painful honesty had cleared the air between them, bringing them closer than before. They'd promised each other complete transparency moving forward, no matter how uncomfortable the truth might be. When Emma appeared at the end of the aisle, radiant in white, Nathan felt a certainty that transcended all doubt. She met his eyes and smiled, that special smile that had always been just for him, and any lingering shadow cast by Jake's betrayal vanished in its warmth. Later, during their first dance, Emma whispered, "Are you okay? With everything that happened?" Nathan pulled her closer. "More than okay. Jake did us a favor, in a way. We started our marriage by overcoming something difficult together. That's not a bad foundation." Emma's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you. And I'm sorry my best friend turned out to be toxic," Nathan replied with a slight smile. "But I think we've both learned something important about honesty. And about choosing better friends," Emma added, glancing over at Marcus and Tyler, who were chatting animatedly with her bridesmaids. As the evening progressed, Nathan found himself surprisingly grateful for the bachelor party disaster. It had revealed Jake's true nature before he could cause more damage, strengthened Nathan's relationship with Emma, and shown him who his real friends were. Some friendships, he realized, weren't meant to last forever, and that was okay. Under the twinkling lights of their reception, surrounded by genuine well-wishers, Nathan kissed his bride and felt nothing but certainty. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with honest hearts and clear eyes. And that, he decided, was worth far more than a friendship built on jealousy and deceit. When they left the reception that night, hand in hand as husband and wife, Nathan didn't look back once. Their future stretched before them, untainted by Jake's toxic presence, full of promise and possibility. The betrayal that had nearly derailed their wedding had instead become the first test they'd pass together. A fitting start to a marriage built on truth, trust, and the kind of love that withstands even the harshest storms.